Hello, thanks for joining us on yet another edition of IPMAN Today on NTA. Remember, IPMAN Today is the advocacy program for IPMAN. And IPMAN Today, for those of you just joining us for the first time, IPMAN is the acronym for the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria. Now, every week on IPMAN Today, we'll bring you the depths of the efforts of the federal government of Nigeria in ensuring successful policy implementation in the upstream, midstream, and downstream sector of the economy. Beyond that, we also bring you the activities and the efforts of IPMAN as led by Alhaji Abubakar Mai-Gandi Shettima. Of course, you know there is only one president of IPMAN, and that is Alhaji Abubakar Mai-Gandi Shettima. We'll bring you the efforts of IPMAN under his leadership in ensuring that the upstream, midstream, and downstream sector of the economy in Nigeria is delivering optimum results for Nigerians and the federal government. On today's edition of IPMAN Today, I'll be bringing you the CNG initiative. How far? Yes, how far has the CNG come? Remember, right after the removal of subsidy by the federal government of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu launched the CNG initiative to cushion the effects of the subsidy removal in Nigeria. But how far has the CNG initiative come today? This and more we'll be talking about on The Verdict with Mr. Norbert Shialsuk, the green energy consultant to IPMAN. Yes, he'll also be telling us IPMAN's critical role in ensuring that the CNG initiative is an enormous success. Don't touch your remote. IPMAN Today will continue right after this short break. Remember, my name is Afam Okone. This is NTA. This is IPMAN Today. We'll be back with The Verdict with Mr. Norbert Shialsuk. Don't go anywhere. Hello, you're welcome to the segment we call The Verdict on IPMAN Today. And of course, I'm with the green energy consultant to the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, Mr. Norbert Shialsuk. You're welcome, sir, on our show today.
Thank you, Afam, for having me once more. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's more of a pleasure to have you. Always insightful. I mean, your conversations on CNG are always very, very insightful. Thank you for the good work you're doing for IPMAN.
Well, what can we do except to contribute our own quota to the growth of IPMAN and the development of the country?
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Well said. Let's begin with this, sir. The journey so far with CNG in Nigeria, how would you describe the journey so far? I mean, how far has CNG come today since the project was initiated by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu?
Okay, well, it's been 1 year, I think, and the initiative, basically, which is the Presidential CNG Initiative, was established by the President to roll out some palliative measures as well as policy incentives to ensure the successful rollout of CNG as an alternative fuel. To help the government provide a substitute for this petrol. And so far, I would say, looking at the three key elements that I would say are critical success factors to the rollout of alternative fuel markets. Number one, there has to be a financial incentive, which addresses the issue of affordability. So that's one key area, right? Number two factor that usually you measure that success is also reaching critical mass, right?
Yes.
In terms of availability of the gas, in terms of access to the gas, which means you have to have access to combustion kits. There have to be combustion kits everywhere.
Yes.
You have to have critical mass with respect to combustion centers. There has to be enough combustion centers. There has to be also enough mechanics to convert and then to service. Because when I convert my car, I need to be able to service
the car, yes.
So you need to be able to reach critical mass with respect to all of these. The last and most important is awareness. Which means people have to be aware
of CNG. Right?
Yes. So those are the three critical success factors for the rollout of any new fuel for people to adopt. And so rating the Presidential CNG initiative on these three, I'll say the last one is where they've achieved quite a lot in terms of creating awareness, right? They're not there in terms of the penetration they need to get to in terms of creating awareness, but they've done quite well. Recently, they've held town hall meetings in several cities. They've held in Ilorin, they've held in Lagos, they've gone to the South. They've held a recent one in Kaduna,
yes,
and also Nasarawa. And so I was in some of them, and I've seen how people have participated, stakeholders, road transport associations, mechanical associations, and so on were all part of this town hall meeting. And I could see the enthusiasm of people, the enthusiasm of all of the association members in terms of their excitement about this and how it impact their businesses. And so I'll say that is a very, very big plus for the CNG initiative. That has created a sort of a sound wave, right?
Yeah, okay.
And the next thing is how to sustain that, right? To go beyond these critical stakeholders now to the communities, to the motorists, to fleet operators, you know, and basically you need to ensure that momentum is kept, right?
Yes.
And then once, as the awareness is ongoing now, you need to now go back to those two critical elements I've told you about. In terms of the depth, critical mass, availability of the gas, there's still a lot to be done.
Still a lot to be done.
Too much, right? And you need a lot of financing. And so that is where I see the huge challenge lies. Then coming to the issue of affordability. You've seen where inflation is, you've seen where the dollar is back at 1,484 as of yesterday. And so not many people can afford combustion kits. So how do you address these first two issues, right? They have a very, very fantastic strategy with respect to this awareness. There's still much to be done, but at least they've started something. But you see, these first two needs to be addressed. Otherwise, this initiative will not take hold. And so they're running on some ideas, and I know that they're working, but you know, I hope that they're able to identify critical stakeholders that will help them achieve 1 and 2. For 3, of course, they're identifying stakeholders, right, like the motor associations and so on. But for 1 and 2, in terms of making gas available, for instance, to reach critical mass, you need filling station operators. And that's where the IPMAN comes in.
Yeah, so
right?
I'm going to ask you that.
Exactly.
Yeah, sure.
So in terms of reaching critical mass with respect to the number of filling stations out there that can serve CNG, in terms of, you know, reaching critical mass with respect to having workshops that can convert or service a vehicle. I mean, like every filling station you go to, there's a mechanic workshop.
Yeah, there is.
So it would be a good strategy to now be able to roll out combustion workshops and all of that in IPMAN filling stations. And it will help you reach critical mass quickly because IPMAN has the biggest outlets. You have about 30,000 outlets.
So you think that IPMAN is like the most important stakeholder here?
It's the most important in my opinion. I mean, like if you take a single major marketer, most of them have maybe 100, 500 filling stations, 1,000, right?
Okay. Yeah.
IPMAN as a whole has 30,000. So if you want to reach every nook and corner of this country, you basically have to go with a stakeholder with the biggest network, so that, you know, it reduces your level of engagement, right? You're able to engage with one party who rolls out through their partners, and you're able to be everywhere across
at the same time.
You understand? And even in terms of this awareness program they're doing, it will be beneficial if they bring in IPMAN as well.
Okay.
You understand? Because you cannot do awareness without reaching the most important stakeholder. Do you understand? The road transport operators are very important, but IPMAN is more important. You need to get gas everywhere.
And the only way you can get gas everywhere is to ensure that IPMAN becomes a part of it.
Exactly. So you need to use their filling stations, right? You need to use their workshops in the filling stations to do combustions and so on. And so these are strategies you can use to be able to address option 2, which is reaching critical mass with respect to availability of gas, with respect to access to combustion kits and all of that. If you're able to work with IPMAN to create a sort of a financial intervention whereby IPMAN members can access single-digit loans and open the CNG outlets and also open the combustion workshops and the service centers, imagine the depth, the extent that would reach. And so that for me is a good strategy. It's reach item number 2, right?
Critical mass.
Yeah, and so then coming back to item number 1, which is a financial incentive to address affordability.
Do you think that IPMAN is well placed to receive financial incentives to roll out this critical mass you talked about?
For sure. Typically, any lender or investor likes to see a brownfield project, Do you understand?
Yes, certainly.
These are businessmen and operators that are currently running filling stations, truck. They have a running operation.
Yes.
They have cash flows.
Yes,
Do you understand?
daily
That can be
cash
verified
flows.
exactly. They have the operational experience. They have the staff that are already servicing the stations. So in terms of maturity of investment, I
Yes.
think they are well placed. The lender would rather give it to a brownfield investment than a greenhorn who's just coming into the sector for the first time. Because as Presidential CNG Initiative, as I said, their role is to work with stakeholders, provide the necessary policy incentives, provide the necessary push, find the interventions, whether it's with CBN, whether it's with the midstream downstream gas infrastructure fund, whether it is with PTDF.
Yes.
They can meet PTDF, they can meet NCDMB to find sort of solutions where they can create programs for training personnel of IPMAN.
Okay.
Right? And so if you're able to partner with IPMAN to train those personnel, automatically you have qualified personnel across the country that can handle this gas operation. They must say, okay, no, it's IPMAN's problem. No, it's not IPMAN's problem, it's everybody's problem.
Okay, it's everybody's problem, actually.
Yeah, of course, because if you fail to do that training and capacity building, by the time people start doing this business and one error leads to an operation, an explosion, it will lead to a cascade of failures.
Okay.
Right? Where people begin to lose faith and confidence in CNG and everybody loses. So it's not an IPMAN member's problem or a single operator's problem. It's an industry problem. So the government has to take that responsibility to intervene with respect to capacity building.
For IPMAN members now?
For IPMAN members and everybody.
Okay.
Which means they need to create capacity building programs for IPMAN members first because they want to quickly roll out.
Yes.
Right? If you want to quickly roll out, you have to look at the mature opportunities. And I think partnering with IPMAN to train their members automatically gives you an army of personnel that are already operating CNG stations and know how to do these operations. Right? And then you can now look at other stakeholders like the major marketers who can run their own training themselves. Right? Because they're more organized. And then, of course, you have the general public. People, mechanics that want to go into the business need to be trained and so on. And then motorists themselves, they want to understand this whole thing. They have to understand that driving a CNG vehicle is different. Fleet operators, right? People like Ife Sinachi or Antata or whoever that's operating a large fleet of vehicles, they need to be able to change their standard operating procedure. And so you need to also provide training programs that will help them also to scale up or skill up rather, right? And so the training for upskilling and all of that is very, very important. And why I'm mentioning these critical stakeholders, because for IPMAN, it helps you to reach critical mass. For partnering with fleet operators, right, it helps you also to reach to the critical transport sector. These are people that move goods around. These are people that move agricultural products around. These are people that move people around.
Yes.
And so immediately you're beginning to touch on key issues that affect the economy. Food inflation.
Drop.
Do you understand? Cost of transportation for people to work would drop. Automatically, people now begin to find food is cheaper. People begin to find also that they have more money left, disposable income. And so, that's why it's important to partner with the right stakeholders.
Finally, sir, do you think IPMAN is ready for CNG? Because, it's been part of the conversations going around that IPMAN, they don't think they are very ready, this and that. But in your own thoughts, in your own opinion, do you think IPMAN is ready 100% as of today for CNG?
The question is, what does it take to be ready? It's the issue of the mindset, right? First of all, you have to have the willingness or the desire to improve your business, right? To step up and flow with whatever, trends are occurring in the industry.
Yeah.
I think IPMAN has demonstrated a desire.
Okay.
I've spoken with the president of IPMAN, Walker McGandy, and he has told me time and time again they really want to participate in this, but basically they're not being engaged by the government, right? His members have been trying to improve their business because, of course, with the increase in the price of fuel, people buy less petrol. And so a lot of IPMAN members are complaining there's not enough business. So, of course, they need new ways to be able to generate revenue.
Yes.
And so they're eager to also now jump into this CNG thing, but they know that they need help. And so this is one of the hard desires of the president, who has said that, look, he needs to reach out to the government. He wants to work with them. He's open to work with the Presidential CNG initiative. He's also expressed a desire to create new business for his members. He has also reached out to PTDF to help with training. And so they have demonstrated their willingness. They've also expressed their desire to participate and help government to achieve this presidential CNG initiative. And so the question of whether they're ready or not does not even begin to arise, because they're already in the game. And they're a critical piece of the puzzle. If you want to complete this picture to make this work, you have to work with IPMAN. And so matter of preparedness is a function of you coming together now to be able to now double your efforts to, everybody needs to get ready. Everybody needs to prepare. The preparation is not one person getting ready and the other person not getting ready. No. So the entire industry needs to be working in sync. And so when they work in sync, then we're able to reach that preparedness. The regulators need to be prepared. The end user needs to be prepared. The operator, who's a stakeholder, needs to be prepared. So the level of preparedness has to be synchronized. And then so that we all move together, so that there's no issue from one end or the other. Maybe you're now, IPMAN is ready with the outlets. There are no enough vehicles out there. IPMAN is ready to put filling stations and all of that. The regulations are not ready. The regulators are not enough to even go and inspect all their facilities and so on. And so everybody needs to be ready, right? So, but there has to be a desire. It starts with a desire, then action. IPMAN has taken actions. They've reached out. Do you understand? And so, for me, it just demonstrates their willingness to be able to make this a success and contribute their quota.
So, while we're running up the show, sir, I'd like to hear your last words on IPMAN today on CNG. What are your last words, sir?
Okay, so first of all, I would like to say that this forum is very good. So in terms of reaching out to people and the community and all of that, I think this is a very good forum. So I would encourage IPMAN to keep it up. I had a chat with the president of IPMAN today, and he wants to extend his, congratulations to the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Tinubu. And part of his message is simple, that he believes strongly that the Presidential CNG initiative has tremendous benefits, to the country in terms of economic benefits, social benefits, and so on. Nigeria is dealing with the issue of unemployment. This CNG initiative will create employment.
Yeah, sure. It will.
Secondly, Nigeria is dealing with the issue of, high cost of subsidy and so on. He believes that providing this alternative would help government to save money, right? He believes strongly also that their members, right, will be able to grow their businesses through this CNG initiative. And so when he was speaking, he said that this initiative has a lot of benefits for all Nigerians, and he wants to he's willing to work with the government of Nigeria to ensure this succeeds, because if it succeeds, everybody is going to benefit. And so he's reaching out to the president and the government to say well done, and they should keep this up. It is going to succeed, and if it succeeds, everybody's going to smile. And so for IPMAN members and for everybody, basically.
You've heard it all. On behalf of the president, Alhaji Abubakar Shetima, IPMAN is ready, willing to be a part of CNG. And one of the words you said struck me. I mean, IPMAN is a critical piece of the puzzle for CNG to succeed. That is the position of IPMAN today, right now, as regards to CNG. IPMAN believes CNG will succeed. You've heard it all from the green energy consultant to IPMAN, Mr. Norbert Shialsuk. Thank you so much for being a part of the show today, sir.
Thank you, Afam.
IPMAN today continues right after this short break. Don't touch your remote. IPMAN is a critical piece of the puzzle in ensuring that the CNG initiative thrives successfully in Nigeria. I mean, how clearly, how articulated could that be put? IPMAN's role is defined in those words by Norbert Shialsuk. Ipman, I repeat, is a critical piece of the puzzle in ensuring that the CNG initiative in Nigeria succeeds. You also heard his thoughts, you also heard his message from the president of Ipman that Ipman is ready to transition to green energy and CNG, no doubt. Okay, that was the verdict on Ipman today. I'll bring you some gist on oil and gas news right after this short break. What is happening, what is trending in the oil and gas sector in Nigeria and around the world. Total Energies and NNPC to invest 550 million US dollars in gas facility. Nigeria's state-owned oil company NNPC Limited and Total Energies are set to invest 550 million US dollars to develop a gas processing facility in Rivers State, aimed at enhancing both export capacity and domestic gas supply, according to reports. The investment will cover the construction of a gas processing plant and an associated pipeline. The new gas processing facility will be situated on the Obita onshore gas field, co-owned by Total Energies and NNPC, and is expected to supply gas to the Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas Plant. NLNG is a partnership involving NNPC, Shell, Total Energies, and Italy's ENI. Upon completion, the facility is projected to produce 350 million standard cubic feet of gas per day and 10,000 barrels per day of associated liquids, according to the source. Nigeria, which possesses Africa's largest natural gas reserves, estimated at over 200 trillion cubic feet, currently flares much of its gas due to inadequate processing infrastructure and financial limitations. This latest investment signals a potential success for President Bola Tinubu's initiative to draw investments into Nigeria's energy sector. Federal government re-engineers Nigeria's oil bidding process, focuses on production bonus. The federal government has re-engineered Nigeria's oil bidding process with emphasis on production bonuses targeted at enabling investors to channel their scarce resources into immediate development and early production. In the past, emphasis was placed on the high signature bonus, a development that discouraged local and foreign investors from investing while also scuttling early development and commencement of oil and gas production, as well as the unlocking of many multiplier effects. Nigeria, under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the Minister of Petroleum Resources, has proactively and intuitively vacated barrier to entry for investment in exploration blocks being offered in both the 2022 deep offshore bid round and the 2024 licensing round, in line with international best practices. That is all on oil and gas news. This is the part where I hate the most, the part where I have to draw the curtains on Ipman today. Many thanks for staying with us on today's edition of Ipman Today. There is no gainsaying the truism that when the CNG succeeds in Nigeria, the challenges being faced by majority of Nigerians in the agricultural food chain and in the transport sector will be alleviated. This is the dream of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and this is the dream of our president of Ipman, Alhaji Abubakar Megandi Shetima, as succinctly put by the energy consultant of Ipman, Mr. Norbert Shialsuk. Many thanks for staying with us again on today's edition of Ipman Today. Till I come your way again same time next week on Ipman Today, remember NTA Network continues with their sublime broadcasting.